Exactly 3:17 p.m. Congressman Thomas Massie asked the question that would destroy American justice in real time. Those 43 seconds didn't just expose Pam Bondi, they exposed how democracy is erased for money. Attorney General Pam Bondi's face froze. Cameras captured the exact moment institutional corruption revealed itself. What happened next would become the most vicious takedown in congressional history. December 28, 2025. Room 2141 of the Rayburn House Office. Building crackled with predatory tension. The mahogany paneled chamber, which had witnessed decades of political theater, never seen systematic destruction quite like this. C-SPAN cameras rolled with mechanical precision. Reporters sensed blood in the water, their phones charged and notifications silenced for maximum focus. The press gallery was packed beyond fire code limits. Investigative journalists from every major network sensing they were about to witness political annihilation. Attorney General Pam Bondi sat behind the witness table with the practiced composure of someone who had survived 3 decades of legal warfare. Her navy blazer was perfectly pressed, her wire-rimmed glasses catching the harsh committee lights. Her hands folded in the precise manner taught in elite courtroom advocacy courses. Behind her sat 6 DOJ legal specialists and 4 congressional liaison officers. Their faces masks of professional calm hiding the nervousness that would soon be exposed. She'd survived congressional theater before. Budget hearings, policy disputes, political grandstanding, all deflected with practiced ease, turning controversies into talking points about justice, transparency, and departmental independence. Bondi believed she controlled every narrative that mattered. But Thomas Massie wasn't performing. He was executing. The Kentucky Republican had weaponized preparation into systematic destruction. His wire-rimmed glasses reflected the chamber lights as he studied a thick folder marked with red classification tape. While other congressmen grandstanded for cable news clips, Massie built intellectual death traps. While others asked softball questions designed for viral moments, Massie constructed evidentiary nooses that witnesses walked into before realizing they were caught. Today, he held something nuclear. A whistleblower package delivered through encrypted channels. 3 weeks earlier, 247 pages, detailing systematic evidence tampering within DOJ, complete with internal communications, deleted files, financial records, and personal text messages showing $12.7 million spent erasing Epstein evidence. Every document had been verified by congressional investigators. Every claim cross-referenced with federal records. Every allegation documented with forensic precision. The hearing had covered standard oversight topics for 2 grueling hours, civil rights enforcement metrics, prosecutorial decision-making protocols, budget allocation transparency. Bondi had been smooth, confident, even slightly dismissive when questioned about political influence concerns. She'd deflected tough questions about departmental independence with practiced ease, citing operational security and legal protocols that couldn't be discussed in open session. Democratic committee members had pressed her on transparency issues, but their questions lacked precision. Republican members had offered softball inquiries about FBI cooperation and counterterrorism successes. The rhythm was predictable, almost boring. Standard Washington theater that would generate no headlines. Beyond procedural notes buried in legal journals, Bondi looked comfortable, even slightly bored as she recited statistics about prosecution rates and conviction percentages. Her 30 years of legal experience showed in every carefully crafted response. She had survived tough questioning before, from opposing counsel in high-stakes trials to hostile media, interviews during her tenure as Florida Attorney General until Massie opened the classified folder, the soft rustle of papers cutting through ambient room noise carried an ominous weight that made seasoned political observers look up from their phones. Something in Massie's deliberate movements suggested this wasn't going to be another routine exchange about bureaucratic procedures. Massie's voice cut through the room like a prosecutorial blade. Attorney General Bondi, your office spent $12.7 million on what internal communications describe as evidence, sanitization protocols for the Epstein files. Explain that. The phrase hit the chamber like a detonation. Evidence sanitization. Not document processing. Not privacy protection. Evidence sanitization. Reporters stopped breathing. Committee members froze mid-note. Even the stenographer's fingers paused momentarily before resuming their mechanical rhythm. This wasn't oversight. This was exposure of systematic corruption. Bondi leaned forward with practiced confidence, falling back on decades of courtroom experience. Congressman, document processing involves various technical services, ensuring compliance with privacy and classification requirements under federal law. Wrong answer. Massie had anticipated exactly this deflection. He pulled out Treasury records with devastating precision. Narrative Solutions LLC, created September 12, 2025. First payment, September 15th. 3 days. 11 wire transfers totaling $12.7 million to a company that didn't exist until you needed it. The mathematical precision was devastating. A shell company created specifically for evidence tampering. With payments beginning within 72 hours of incorporation, the coordination was impossible to explain as bureaucratic coincidence. Bondi's hands tightened, almost imperceptibly on the witness table. The department employs numerous specialized contractors for complex document review processes. Congressman, but Massie was building a timeline that would prove systematic coordination between payments and policy decisions. He pulled out another document, this one bearing official DOJ letterhead and classification stamps. Massie read from classified internal communications with clinical precision. November 5th email from U2 Deputy AG Todd Blanche. Subject line, timeline acceleration required. Message, narrative deliverables must be implemented before House deadline. Zero tolerance for discoverable metadata. Handle accordingly. The room exploded into chaos. Zero tolerance for discoverable metadata meant one thing: systematic evidence destruction. Republican committee members looked genuinely stunned. Democratic members started talking simultaneously about obstruction and accountability. Press gallery photographers' camera shutters clicked like machine gun fire. Capturing the exact moment a carefully constructed narrative began crumbling. Chairman Jim Jordan gavelled for order, but the chaos took nearly 30 seconds to settle. The damage was already spreading across social media platforms faster than committee staff could process. #DocumentGate began trending within seconds, as clips of Massie's revelations spread like wildfire. When the room finally quieted, every camera focused on Bondi's face, waiting for her response to evidence of systematic obstruction documented in her own words, and Bondi said nothing. 1 second passed. Her mouth opened slightly, then closed. Legal instincts were screaming at her to say something, anything. But every possible response led directly to admission of federal crimes or perjury charges. 5 seconds. Reporters were frantically typing on their phones, broadcasting the revelation in real time. Social media notifications began buzzing throughout the chamber. 10 seconds. #BondToSilence started trending before the silence even ended. Twitter servers strained under the volume of shares and comments as millions of Americans watched their Attorney General unable to deny evidence tampering. 20 seconds. This wasn't normal hearing theater where witnesses deflected with talking points. This was genuine constitutional crisis unfolding live on C-SPAN. Other committee members shifted uncomfortably in their seats, recognizing they were witnessing something unprecedented. 30 seconds. Bondi's face had transformed from confident composure to visible panic. A thin line of perspiration became visible on her forehead despite the chamber's controlled temperature. Her eyes darted briefly to DOJ staff sitting in the back rows, looking for rescue that wasn't coming. 40 seconds. Even seasoned political observers were checking their watches. 40 seconds of silence from an attorney general asked about evidence destruction was career-ending territory. This was going to dominate news cycles for weeks. 43 seconds total. When Bondi finally spoke, her voice had lost all its earlier authority, cracking slightly under the weight of documented evidence she couldn't explain. Congressman, I reject any characterization that suggests improper document handling procedures. Too late. That 43-second silence had confirmed everything Massie had implied. DOJ was systematically destroying evidence. They'd spent $12.7 million doing it. They'd created shell companies to launder the payments. And when confronted with their own internal communications, the Attorney General couldn't deny it. But Massie wasn't finished destroying her. He pulled another page from his folder with surgical precision. The document marked with FBI classification stamps and Congressional subpoena seals. This whistleblower report shows your office identified 8,347 documents, mentioning current political officials, and classified them at higher security levels to prevent public release. Who authorized hiding evidence based on political sensitivity? Another devastating precision strike. The number was specific enough to be credible, large enough to suggest systematic suppression. 8,347 documents hidden because they mentioned powerful people. Bondi attempted recovery through bureaucratic deflection. Document classification follows established national security protocols. Congressman Thomas Massie had the smoking gun document that would end her career. Who signed the order? I'm looking at an unsigned memorandum directing staff to prioritize political sensitivity over transparency requirements. Who takes responsibility for that directive? The unsigned memorandum was institutional cowardice in documentary form. No signature meant no accountability. Just systematic evidence suppression, without anyone willing to claim responsibility. For protecting powerful predators, Bondi's response revealed everything about how corrupt institutions protect themselves when cornered. Classification decisions involve multiple departmental reviews and complex legal considerations that ensure appropriate balance between transparency and security. That's not a signature. Massie shot back with prosecutorial venom. That's bureaucratic deflection designed to hide systematic evidence destruction. Who made the decision to spend $12.7 million hiding evidence about a convicted sex trafficker's connections to powerful people? The constitutional implications were staggering. The nation's chief law enforcement officer allegedly coordinating evidence suppression based on political considerations while spending millions of taxpayer money to cover it up. Bondi attempted deflection through aggression, a desperate tactic that would backfire catastrophically. Congressman, I find it concerning that you're relying on alleged whistleblower documents that may contain classified information. Massie's response was vicious and perfectly calculated for viral impact. Are you seriously suggesting that asking about evidence tampering is a security risk? You spent $12.7 million hiding evidence about a sex trafficker's connections to powerful people. That's not classified information. That's a cover-up. The word detonated across social media like a nuclear bomb. Cover-up, not mismanagement. Not bureaucratic delay. Systematic cover-up by the Attorney General of the United States. Within minutes, #Epstein Coverup was trending worldwide. TikTok videos were being created and posted faster than platforms could moderate them. YouTube clips were being uploaded and shared at unprecedented rates. Even teenagers who had never heard of congressional oversight were sharing videos of systematic government corruption. Massie delivered the death blow with theatrical precision, pulling out a final document that would end Bondi's career forever. December 1st, you met with David Chen, CEO of Narrative Solutions, for 83 minutes. 24 hours later, final payment of $2.7 million authorized. Your text message 3 hours before file's deadline, package delivered as specified. No recoverable traces. Personal coordination of evidence destruction. Text message confirmation of completion. The Attorney General. It personally supervised the erasure of evidence and documented it in writing. Bondi's final response condemned her more than any confession could have. Congressman, I'm not going to discuss specific operational details in an open hearing. Translation. Yes. We destroyed evidence systematically, but I can't admit it publicly without facing federal charges. Within hours, the political earthquake began reshaping Washington. CNN led with Attorney General cannot explain $12.7 million. Evidence tampering. Fox News ran Deutsche Coverup. Massie exposes systematic evidence destruction. International media picked up the story of American democratic institutions. systematically destroying evidence to protect powerful predators. #Redaction, Gate, reached 6 million mentions within 8 hours, becoming the fastest trending political hashtag in Twitter history. Congressional switchboards were overwhelmed with calls demanding accountability. 5 separate congressional committees announced immediate investigations into DOJ evidence tampering. Legal experts universally agreed this was worse than Watergate because it involved systematic evidence destruction rather than political espionage. Constitutional scholars warned about the complete breakdown of institutional integrity when law enforcement agencies became protection rackets for powerful criminals. Thomas Massie had accomplished what many thought impossible. With whistleblower documents, precision questions, and 43 seconds of devastating silence, he'd exposed systematic evidence tampering at the highest levels of American justice. Armed with nothing but preparation and moral courage, he'd proven that institutional corruption couldn't survive forensic documentation. The American people now knew their Attorney General had personally coordinated spending $12.70 million to erase evidence about Jeffrey Epstein's connections to powerful individuals. Pam Bondi's silence had confirmed the death of justice in America. But the real question wasn't whether justice could be bought. That had been answered. The real question was more terrifying. If $12.7 million can erase evidence, what price erases the truth about power?